بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على عبد الله ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So after a very long delay in getting the equipment set up, we finally got started, alhamdulillah. And inshallah ta'ala, these classes are going to continue every Friday night reflections and names of Allah. They go on alternate Fridays after Isha, inshallah. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, I would like it if everybody would make sure that they are registered with their mobile number on the KALEMAH website, those people who come regularly, because it may be that occasionally I may have to cancel a class, because right now the situation is as I'm not here full time in the office, so I may sometimes have to cancel the odd class. So please, if you register your mobile number on the KALEMAH website, it pops up when you first log in, asking for your mobile number. Then they'll send you a text message and let you know if the class is on or not. If you're already getting those messages, you don't need to do anything. So some of you, if you already got a message yesterday or today, which said that the class is going to happen this Friday after Isha, then you don't need to do anything. But if you're not receiving those messages, then if you could register your mobile number, you can inshallah get to know more about the class and so on. Normally we will start right after Isha prayer. We'll pray Isha in the masjid, we'll come here and we'll start straight away inshallah ta'ala. Today's the first day back, so usually there are a few little hiccups that come along the way. So today is the turn of the names of Allah class, and we're going through the book Fiqh al-Asma al-Husna, the fiqh of the names of Allah by our Sheikh Abdul Razzaq bin Abdul Muhsin al-Badr hafidhahumullah ta'ala. And we've done how many names? We've done a lot. We've done about 30 something classes. There's a good few classes we've been through. And what we're up to right now is we're up to the name Al-Ghani. The name of Allah Azza wa Jal, Al-Ghani. The Shaykh always begins by telling us where this name comes in the Quran. And the Shaykh, he says this name came in 18 different places in the Quran. And then he gives some examples. So the first example the Shaykh he gave is the example of Surah Al-An'am, ayah number 133. وَرَبُّكَ الْغَنِيُّ ذُو الرَّحْمَةِ. And your Lord is Al-Ghani. Your Lord is Al-Ghani, ذُو الرَّحْمَةِ, possessor of mercy. And Allah Azza wa Jal said in Surah Fatir, ayah number 15, يا أيها الناس أنتم الفقراء إلى الله والله هو الغني الحميد. O mankind, you are fuqara, you are literally poor people. Fuqara is poor people, right? The plural of faqir. You people are fuqara. But the meaning of fuqara here is not that you don't have any money and you're living from handouts from people. You are fuqara ilallah, towards Allah, in comparison with Allah, in terms of your need of Allah. You are fuqara, you are poor and desperate. Wallahu huwa al-Ghani al-Hamid. But Allah is Al-Ghani al-Hamid. And Allah Azza wa Jalla said in Surah Luqman, ayah number 26, لِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْغَنِيُّ الْحَمِيدُ. To Allah belongs everything in the heavens and the earth, and Allah is Al-Ghani Al-Hamid. So let's try and understand what this name Al-Ghani means. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is Al-Ghani بِذَاتِهِ. He is Al-Ghani in of Himself. And Al-Ghani comes from Al-Ghina, richness, or you can say to be rich or to lack need, to not have any needs. Because both of these are sort of meanings of the word of Al-Ghani. Traditionally, if we say, هَذَا رَجُلٌ غَنِي, this man is rich. ضد الفقير, he's opposite of the poor person. So you have a poor person, you have a rich person. He is Ghani, he's rich. But the real meaning, if we go back to the sort of the core meaning, is to be free of need. not to need anything. He's rich, he doesn't need anyone to give him money. So we call him rich. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't need anything from anyone in anything. So he is Al-Ghani. الذي له الغنى التام المطلق من جميع الوجوه والاعتبارات. Allah has complete richness and freedom of need in every way, in such a perfect way, in an absolute way, in every single way and every single form. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is rich and free of wants and free of needs. Why is Allah Al-Ghani? Because of His names and attributes. Because of the perfection of Allah's attributes, because of how perfect His attributes are, He doesn't need anything from anyone. And He doesn't need anything to complete Him or to make up for something. And it's not like He has a need and it needs to, this needs to fit in to complete the need. Allah is so perfect that everything about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so absolutely perfect that Allah doesn't need anything from anyone. These attributes have no naqs, no deficiency in them in any way. And therefore, it is impossible for Allah to be anything other than Ghani, rich and free of all needs. And Allah Azza wa Jal is Ghaniyan an jami' al-khalq. He is Ghani in regard to all of His creation. Whatever of His creation you compare with Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in need of it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it does not benefit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anything. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is infinitely more rich and infinitely more free of need than that creation that you compare or that you look at. The Shaykh, he said, لا يحتاج إليهم بوجه من الوجوه. Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't need them in any way. If you look at Jibreel alayhi salam, Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't need Jibreel for anything. Nor does Jibreel benefit Allah in anything. If you look at our Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah doesn't need him for anything. Allah didn't need him to give the message. Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't need him to do what he did. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us by sending the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him and raised his station. But Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't need him in anything. And if Allah doesn't need Jibreel, and Allah doesn't need our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and Allah doesn't need the angels, and Allah doesn't need His arsh, then if Allah doesn't need any of those things, then really He is Al-Ghani. He is the one who is completely and absolutely rich and free of all needs. And every single one of His creation, including Jibreel, including the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they are in desperate need of Allah. And if Allah Azza wa Jal was to abandon them for even the blink of an eye, they would be destroyed. Every one of us, every one of Allah's creation is in desperate need of Him. If Allah Azza wa Jal was to abandon any of us for even the blink of an eye, we would not be able to survive. We could not even survive the blink of an eye without the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all of us are fuqara. We are all beggars. We are all poor people in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because all of us are in desperate need of Allah, and there's nothing we can give Allah. There's nothing we can give Allah that we can say, oh Allah, I've given this to you, now you give something to me. There's nothing we can give to Allah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala needs. Allah is completely free of all needs. And we cannot do without, Because one of the meanings of Al-Ghani is to do without something. Al-Istighna. And you don't need it. I don't need this. Like, I can do without it. We cannot do without Allah's ihsan, Allah's beautiful treatment of us. We cannot do without Allah's karam, Allah's generosity. We cannot do without Allah's tadbir, Allah's decreeing what will happen to us and decreeing how the universe is going to work and controlling it. We cannot do without Allah's tarbiyah, Allah educating us and nurturing us and raising us. Whether general or specific, for even the blink of an eye. Everything in the heavens and the earth is a slave of Allah. Everything. Didn't Allah Azza wa Jal say about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Subhanalladhi asra bi'abadihi laylan. Glory be to the one, or exalted is the one who took his slave on a night journey. All of us are slaves of Allah Azza wa Jal. All of us are slaves of Allah. And as Allah Azza wa Jal said, there is none of them, as Allah Azza wa Jal told us, that there is none of us, there is none of them, that will come إِلَّا آتِ الرَّحْمَنِ عَبَدًا, except that they will come to Allah as a slave. All of us are slaves of Allah Azza wa Jal. All of us are under the decree of Allah Azza wa Jal and are under His, subjugated to His power. Can any of us refuse Allah? Is there anything in the creation that can say to Allah Azza wa Jal, La, no? None of us. Not even if we gathered together as an entire race. No, we could not refuse anything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed for us. All of us are under His power. All of us live our lives under His will. We have a free will and we have a choice. But our will is subservient to His will. وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. They cannot will anything unless Allah Azza wa Jal wills it. And to give an example, I have free will. So today, I decide that I'm going to pick up this glass of water. The only way, I've made a decision, it's my free will to pick this glass of water up. The only way I can lift this water is if Allah Azza wa Jal gives me permission to do it. If Allah Azza wa Jal didn't give me permission, my free will would count for nothing. And that shows you how desperate you are in need of Allah Azza wa Jal. And didn't we say when we've explained previously the lectures and the lessons on Qadr, and I've got a video if any of you want to revise it, you can go type Muhammad Tim Qadr and you can revise the topic. Didn't we say one of the major benefits of Qadr, one of the huge benefits of Qadr, is that it makes you realize how desperately in need you are of Allah. And it makes you want to work hard. But it makes you realize how much you need Allah. Because all of us are living our lives subject to the will of Allah Azza wa Jal. So if Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't help us and doesn't give us permission, we will not be able to achieve our goals, we will not be able to achieve Jannah. Okay, but who does Allah Azza wa Jal give that permission to? Allah Azza wa Jal gives it to those who work hard. Those who strive for Allah. As Allah Azza wa Jal told us, الَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Those who strive for us, we will guide them to our ways. So we've been given our limited free will. We try to work hard with it. We try to do our best with it. But how many people got up today and said, today I'm going to read one juz of the Quran, and they didn't read it? They had a will, but Allah had a will. And Allah's will overrules their will. So Allah in that sense is Al-Ghani, the most rich and the free of all ones, because whatever it is that you even decide to do, you can only do it through His permission. And if Allah Azza wa Jal destroyed every one of us with complete destruction, that wouldn't take anything away from His honor and His authority and His dominion and His lordship and His right to be worshipped, or His attributes of being deserving of worship, even the weight of an atom. How much does that show you how Allah is Al-Ghani? Allah is the most rich. Because if Allah Azza wa Jal destroyed all of us, it wouldn't hurt anything. It wouldn't even take even an atom's weight away from the honor of Allah, or from the power of Allah, or from the ilahiyya of Allah, and the divinity of Allah, or from the rububiyyah, the lordship of Allah. Nothing would be taken away from Allah if He destroyed everything in the heavens and the earth. That's because He is Al-Ghani, the most rich, the one that doesn't need anyone. And from His richness is that the obedience of the obedient people doesn't benefit Him, and the disobedience of the sinners doesn't harm Him. When Fir'aun disobeyed Allah, it didn't harm Allah anything. And when the Prophets ﷺ worshipped Allah, it didn't benefit Allah anything. Because one of the fundamental things we take from His name Al-Ghani is that nothing can benefit Him. He doesn't need something to give Him a benefit, and nothing can harm Him. So when the sinners disobeyed Allah, it didn't harm Him. And when the obedient people obeyed Allah, it didn't benefit Him. It was Allah's right. It was what Allah deserved. It was what Allah loved. But it didn't benefit Allah Azza wa Jalla. It's not like you said, please, if you do this for me, please can do this for me, it would be really good for me. No, it's Allah Azza wa Jalla is not like that. We are like that. We say, if you do this, it will help me. Please, if you can help me out with this. Allah Azza wa Jalla doesn't need your obedience. And that's why it really makes you think, and I really think you should reflect upon this as much as you can. Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't need you, and He doesn't need me. Sometimes when we do good deeds, we get a little bit happy with ourselves. We get a little bit happy, we get a little bit impressed with ourselves. Right? We say like, alhamdulillah, like I'm benefiting the people. But you have to remember, Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't need you, and He doesn't need me. If Muhammad Tim goes away tomorrow and doesn't give any more classes, and doesn't teach any more books, and doesn't answer any more emails, and doesn't do any more counseling, that will not harm Allah Azza wa Jal in anything. Allah doesn't need it. Allah Azza wa Jal can replace me with 10 million people better than me. Kun fayakun. He doesn't need me, and He doesn't need you. So when you worship Allah, it's not because Allah needs you. When you worship Allah, it's because you need Him. And if you remember that, you really get the meaning of Al-Ghani. That when you worship Allah because you need Him, not because He needs you. And this is important in da'wah. A lot of people ask this question in da'wah, a lot of non-Muslims. They say, if God is God, why does He need you to worship Him? Like, why do you even pray 5 times a day? Like, why does He need you to pray? And the answer is, He doesn't need you to pray. And if you pray or you don't pray, it doesn't benefit Him or it doesn't harm Him. But it benefits you. And if you don't pray, it harms you. We pray because we need Allah, not because Allah Azza wa Jal needs us. And we pray because Allah deserves to be worshipped. يستحق العبادة. Allah deserves ibadah. Allah deserves to be worshipped. But in the sight of Allah, it doesn't benefit Him and it doesn't harm Him, regardless of what you do. The Shaykh, he said, if everyone in the earth believed in Him, that would not increase His dominion anything. And if all of them disbelieved in Him, that would not take away from anything from His dominion. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَنْ شَكَرَ فَإِنَّمَا يَشْكُرُ لِنَفْسِهِ وَمَنْ كَفَرَ فَإِنَّ رَبِّي غَنِيٌّ كَرِيمٌ. Whoever shows gratitude, They only show gratitude for themselves. If you show gratitude to Allah, you benefit yourself. And whoever is ungrateful, or whoever disbelieves, because disbelief and ungratefulness are the same word in Arabic, then indeed my Lord is Ghaniyyun Hamid. He is Ghani, He doesn't need you. He's free of your need. He's free of needing you. فَإِنَّ رَبِّي غَنِيٌّ كَرِيمٌ. And He is Kareem. And Allah Azza wa Jal, that was in Surah Al-Naml, ayah number 44. And Allah Azza wa Jal said in Surah Al-Ankabut, ayah number 6, وَمَنْ جَاهَدَ فَإِنَّمَا يُجَاهِدُ لِنَفْسِهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَغَنِيٌّ عَنِ الْعَالَمِينَ. And whoever jahada, whoever makes jihad, either jihad in terms of fighting or jihad in terms of striving it, he only strives for himself. Indeed, Allah is Ghani, Allah is rich and free of needing any of the creation. And Allah Azza wa Jal said in At-Taghabun, ayah number 6, فَكَفَرُوا وَتَوَلَّوْا وَاسْتَغْنَى اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ غَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ. And they disbelieved and they turned away and they believed themselves, or they convinced themselves that they don't need Allah. But Allah is Ghaniyyun Hamid. Allah doesn't need them, and Allah is the one that is deserving of all praise. And Allah said in Surah Ibrahim, إِن تَكْفُرُوا أَنْتُمْ وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَغَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ. If you disbelieve, all of you, and whoever is in the earth, all of you together, then Allah is Al-Ghani and Allah is Hamid. Allah is Ghani and Allah is Hamid. Allah is rich and free of needs, and Allah is worthy of all praise. And in the Hadith Qudusi, Allah Azza wa Jal said, يَا عِبَادِي لَوْ أَنَّ أَوَّلَكُمْ وَآخِرَكُمْ وَإِنسَكُمْ وَجِنَّكُمْ كانوا على أتقى قلب رجل منكم ما زاد ذلك في ملكي شيئا. O my servants, if the first of you and the last of you, and the men of you and the jinn of you, had the heart of the most pious of every one of you, that would not add anything to my kingdom. ولو أن أولكم وآخركم وإنسكم وجنكم كانوا على أفجر قلب رجل منكم ما نقص ذلك من ملكي شيئا. And if the first of you and the last of you and the men of you and the jinn of you had the heart of the most wicked of the men among you, that would not decrease anything from what I have. And Allah Azza wa Jal said, يَا عِبَادِي إِنَّكُمْ لَن تَبْلُغُوا ضُرِّي فَتَضُرُّونِي وَلَن تَبْلُغُوا نَفْعِي فَتَنْفَعُونِي. And that hadith is in Sahih Muslim. O my servants, indeed you cannot do something that would cause harm to me, and you cannot reach benefiting me, so you cannot benefit me. You cannot reach harming me, so you will harm me, and you cannot reach benefiting me, so you will benefit me. And from the completeness of Allah's richness and freedom of need is that when the people give charity, and when they give their sadaqah in Allah's cause, seeking the pleasure of Allah, it doesn't benefit Allah Azza wa Jal anything. And when the stingy people are stingy and they hold back and they are selfish and stingy and they hold back, that doesn't harm him anything. As Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَمَن يَبْخَلْ فَإِنَّمَا يَبْخَلُ عَنْ نَفْسِهِ وَاللَّهُ الْغَنِيُّ وَأَنْتُمُ الْفُقَرَاءُ وَإِن تَتَوَلَّوْا يَسْتَبْدِلْ قَوْمًا غَيْرَكُمْ ثُمَّ لَا يَكُونُوا أَمْثَالَكُمْ. Surah Muhammad, ayah number 38. Whoever is stingy, he's only stingy to himself. And Allah is Al-Ghani, and you are the poor people. Allah is the rich, and you are the poor people. And if you turn away, He will replace you with a people other than you, then they will not be like you. And Allah Azza wa Jal said in Surah Al-Baqarah, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَنفِقُوا مِنْ طَيِّبَاتِ مَا كَسَبْتُمْ وَمِمَّا أَخْرَجْنَا لَكُمْ مِنَ الْأَرْضِ وَلَا تَيَمَّمُوا الْخَبِيثَ منه تنفقون ولستم بآخذيه إلا أن تغمضوا فيه وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ. O you who believe, spend from the good things that we have or that you have earned and from what we have taken out from the earth. And I'm going to check the translation. Okay, and do not aim for that which is bad to spend from it, even though you would not accept it unless you were to close your eyes and simply tolerate it. And know that Allah is rich, free of all wants and worthy of all praise. And from the fact, or from the ghina, the richness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is free of having partners set up with Him. How can these partners equate to the Lord of all the worlds? And how is it possible that the poor can equate to the rich, or that the weak with the strong, and the one who is needy and the one who has nothing except weakness in their characteristics? How can they be equal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The one whose richness and power and dominion and His honor and His giving to people and His knowledge and His mercy and His perfection, which is absolute, is always with Him. It's min lawazimi dhatihi. It's always one of His characteristics. How can the abid be similar to the owner of everything? How can the servant be similar to the master? The one that all of his servants are within his grasp and underneath his control and his command. Allah Azza wa Jalla said in Surah Al-Ma'idah, لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْمَسِيحُ ابْنُ مَرْيَمَ قُلْ فَمَنْ يَمْلِكُ مِنَ اللَّهِ شَيْئًا إِنْ أَرَادَ أَنْ يُهْلِكَ الْمَسِيحَ ابْنَ مَرْيَمَ وَأُمَّهُ وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا وَلِلَّهِ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا يَخْلُقُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَاللَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Allah said in Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayah number 17, they have disbelieved those who say that Allah is Al-Masih ibn Maryam, that Allah is Jesus son of Mary. Say, who will prevent Allah anything if He wants to destroy the Messiah, Isa ibn Maryam, and his mother, and everyone on the earth? And who can prevent Allah from destroying Jesus and Mary and everything on the earth if He wants to? To Allah belongs the dominion of everything in the heavens and the earth and whatever is between them. He creates whatever He wants, and Allah is able to do all things. Notice how Allah says about one of His beloved prophets, Isa ibn Maryam, that nobody can withhold from Allah if Allah wanted to destroy Isa ibn Maryam. And he's one of the beloved of Allah. So how about those who are not beloved to Allah Azza wa Jal, those who are disobedient and those who are rebellious and those who disbelieve? Allah Azza wa Jal, if He wanted to destroy Isa, nothing would prevent Him from doing so. And that is from the completeness of Allah's richness. And from Allah's richness is that the depositories of the heavens and the earth are in His hands. And that His generosity to His creation is constant all through the day and the night. And that Allah Azza wa Jal, His hands are always giving. As Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَلِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْغَنِيُّ الْحَمِيدُ. To Allah belongs whatever is in the heavens and the earth. Indeed, Allah is the most rich and the one deserving of all praise. And from the richness of Allah Azza wa Jal is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls His servants to ask Him all the time. Now if you think about this, you think about the more rich a person is from the people, وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. The example of Allah is not like the example of the people. But just think about the people so you can understand the concept of richness. The more rich a person is, the more they tolerate people asking them. So the one who is poor, he doesn't tolerate people asking him for anything. The one who is comfortable, if they ask me a small amount, I will give it. But a big amount, I can't give. The one who is quite rich, will tolerate asking a little bit more. Okay, it's a big amount, but go on this one time, I will give it to you. The one who is extremely rich, talking about the multi-millionaires and the billionaires, they tolerate a bit more. Like the people will sometimes come and that like the umara, they have majalis and the people come and they say, I have like a debt and I have a problem and please clear my issues and whatever. Allah Azza wa Jal commands you to ask Him all day and all night. And how many people? 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, 10 people, 1 majlis, 2 majalis, 3 majalis. No, the whole earth, the men and the jinn, the believer and the disbeliever, all of them asking Allah Azza wa Jal in the day and in the night, all time, just making dua, Allah give me this, God give me this, oh Allah give me this, oh Allah give me this. Millions and billions of people just asking Allah in every minute, every day and every night. And Allah Azza wa Jal, does He complain of this or criticize this? No, He encourages it. Even the kuffar, قُلْ مَا يَأْبَأُ بِكُمْ رَبِّي لَوْلَا دُعَاؤُكُمْ. Say, my Lord would not care anything for you if you didn't make dua. And subhanAllah, even the kuffar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells all mankind to make dua to Him. In the day and the night, keep on asking whatever you want, just ask and ask and ask and ask and ask. And that is from the completeness of Allah's richness. And from this is that Allah promises them to answer them on top of this. So we said there is no person on this earth, no matter how rich, that tolerates an infinite number of people to ask all the time. Then even if we take the most generous person on this earth, and majlis after majlis of people come and they ask for millions and thousands, and he keeps giving. But Allah Azza wa Jal, not only does He take every question, but He promises that He will answer everyone who asks Him. And Allah commands them to worship Him and promises them that He will accept it. So He is wasi'ul fadl, His virtue, His grace is immense. And Allah Azza wa Jal gives them from everything they ask for. And know that Allah only prevents you from something you ask for because that thing is not good for you. Or because something better for you is waiting. Either in this dunya or yawm al-qiyamah. Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't prevent because He just doesn't want to give it to you. Every time if Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't answer your dua, there is a wisdom for it. He gives you something better or He removes something worse. And Allah Azza wa Jal gives them everything they want and every wish that they have. He fulfills every wish that they would have. And from the completeness of Allah's richness is that if the people of the heavens and the earth and the beginning of creation and the end of them stood on a single plane and they all asked Allah every request that they had, and Allah gave every one of them what they asked for, that would not decrease anything from Him. As is in the hadith al-Qudsi that Allah Azza wa Jalla said, Ya ibadi law anna awwalakum wa akhirakum wa insakum wa jinnakum qamu fi sa'idin wahid fasa'aluni fa'ataytu kulla insanin mas'alata ma naqasa dhalika mimma indi illa kama yanqusu al-mikhyat idha udkhila fi al-bahr. Rawahu Muslim. O my servants, if the first of you and the last of you, and the men of you and the jinn of you stood on a single plane, and in all of creation, how many people in the world today? Billions. Those billions, from the beginning of the time of Adam until the last person on this earth, and the jinn, from the time of Iblis all the way until the last one of them. Every single man, every single jinni that has ever existed stood in one place at one time, and all of them asked Allah for every single thing that they wanted, and Allah gave all of them what they asked for. That would not decrease anything from what Allah has, except like the needle if it is put into the sea. When you dip a needle into the sea, does the sea decrease in volume? And from the completeness of Allah's richness is that His power cannot be measured, and it cannot be described. What Allah Azza wa Jal has prepared for the people of Iman in Jannatin Na'im, from all kinds of pleasure and from every kind of blessing, and from the most beautiful of gifts, from that which no eye has seen and no ear has heard and no person has ever thought of. As Allah Azza wa Jal said, فَلَا تَعْلَمُ نَفْسٌ مَا أُخْفِيَ لَهُم مِّن قُرَّةِ أَعْيُنٍ جَزَاءً بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. Surah Al-Sajdah, ayah number 17. So no soul knows what has been prepared for it from the pleasure of the eye because of what they used to do. So whoever knows his Lord by this description, and he knows his Lord is Al-Ghani, he knows himself. He knows himself. Yani when you know Allah is Al-Ghani, you know that you are Al-Faqir. You are the poor one. You're the one in need. You're the one who needs Allah Azza wa Jal. Whoever knows Allah's complete richness knows their own complete poverty. If you know how completely rich and perfect Allah is, you know how completely poor and imperfect you are. And whoever knows Allah's complete power over everything knows their complete inability to do anything. And if you know Allah's complete power to do anything, then you know that you have no ability to do anything. And if you know the complete honor and might of Allah Azza wa Jal, you know that you are completely destitute and weak. And if you know the complete knowledge of Allah and complete wisdom, you know the complete ignorance of yourself. And if you know how desperately in need you are of Allah and how poor you are in the sight of Allah, then the fruit of knowing this, and this is really beautiful what the Shaykh says. He said, knowing your need of Allah, this is a fruit of knowing this name, Al-Ghani. That is a means, it is the key to happiness for a servant and success in the dunya and the akhirah. The key to your happiness and your success is to realize how much you need Allah. And in this, there is a beautiful statement I heard from one of the scholars who was talking about. And he was quoting from, if I'm not mistaken, he was quoting from Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah ta'ala. And he quoted from other scholars as well, relating to worshipping Allah through expressing your absolute poverty and need of Allah. And they were saying that so few people worship Allah in this way. A lot of people worship Allah through sadaqah. A lot of people worship Allah through birr al-walidain. A lot of people, like they do different types of worship. But the number of people who totally humiliate themselves and humble themselves and see themselves as being totally poor and destitute in the sight of Allah, and they worship Allah through this. This is how they get near to Allah. This is their ibadah that they do, that is their, their signature act of worship that they do. Is that they lower themselves completely before Allah and they show their desperation and their need of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Then there are very, very few people who do this. And this is one of the greatest doors of ibadah, one of the greatest ways you can worship Allah Azza wa Jalla. And this is what you see from the prophets and the messengers. The dua of Musa alayhi salam, Rabbi inni lima anzaltu ilayya min khayrin faqir. Oh Allah, I am in desperate need. I'm poor. I need you to give me good. Whatever good you give me, I'm desperately in need of it. Worshipping Allah through showing Him your desperation and your poverty and your lowliness and your humility and your humbleness in front of Him, this is one of the greatest means of worshipping Allah Azza wa Jalla. And it's a sifa from the sifat of the awliya of Allah. It's a sign of the awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is something we should all take from this name and we should all try to do. Is to try to worship Allah through recognizing how poor we are and how much in need we are and how desperate we are and how low we are and how weak we are and how ignorant we are in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you worship Allah through this is a major means to gain the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah Azza wa Jalla loves to be worshipped through this. To be worshipped through His superiority and His highness over His creation. So this is something we should strive to achieve in our ibadat, in our acts of worship and in our dua. That when we make dua to Allah, we make the dua of the beggar. Because it is very blameworthy to beg from people. And it's very praiseworthy to beg from Allah. Allah Azza wa Jalla, the Prophet ﷺ told us that the Prophet ﷺ told us, Alihu ala Allah biyadh al-jalali wal-ikram, or bidh al-jalali wal-ikram, as the Al-Kama Qala sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the wording of the hadith, I don't recall perfectly. That beg Allah, ilhah, beg Allah by saying Ya Dhal Jalali wal Ikram, or by saying Dhul Jalali wal Ikram. Beg Allah Azza wa Jalla. This is the point that I wanted to make. Alihu ala Allah. And beg Allah Azza wa Jalla in your dua. Show your poverty, show your need, show you're desperate, show that you feel yourself to be low and ignorant and broken. This inkisar, I think when some of you attended Sheikh Tahir's class, we talked about this, the dawrah, the seminar. Al-inkisar bayna yaday Allah. You're broken in front of Allah, showing yourself to be broken in front of Allah. Showing yourself that you are completely broken, you're completely finished in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is from the major means of worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal, and this is from the things you can take from His name, Al-Ghani. Okay, inshallah. That was a bit of a late finish from quite a late start. Normally we will not be, inshallah ta'ala, so late. Will be, inshallah, as Isha will also be moving earlier as well. Next Friday, inshallah ta'ala, will be Friday night reflections. And then the Friday after that will be another names of Allah, inshallah. So it's a good opportunity to invite your friends, to invite people who haven't been to the class before, to start coming again. Those of you who haven't been for a while, get back into the habits, inshallah ta'ala. And may Allah Azza wa Jal make it easy for everyone. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to teach us what will benefit us and to benefit us with what He teaches us, and to increase us in knowledge. To make it easy for the brothers and sisters tonight, I'm going to say that we're going to just keep the Q&A to just whoever wants to stay and ask can ask, because I think already it's late, some people need to get home, inshallah. So we will wrap it up there. and Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best. Wassalatu wassalam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.